What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode. I think this is was it episode 9, Xander?
Yeah,
Episode
almost double
9,
digits. Yeah.
almost double digits. Episode 9 of Insurance Isn't Boring. I'm your host Elijah, joined as always by Xander Wolle, my running buddy. And today we got a super special one. We say that every week because every week it's special. But we have a guest who's, you know what? Let me just read off her stats here, just to give a little bit of background of who we're talking to, who you guys have a chance to listen to. And the goal of this for the viewers and the listeners is to give you guys some insight into what she does, how she does it, get into her mindset, learn how this woman thinks and how she operates, because what she's been able to accomplish with her company is pretty extraordinary, especially given a lot of the adversity too that she overcame on her own. And so welcome Ashley Richard to the podcast. Happy to have you. And let me give you some street cred. One of the things that Xander and I love to do is try to establish some street cred. What did we sell this week? I've been getting my butt kicked this week, to be honest with y'all. A lot of think about it, but I'm at 6 apps for just shy of $5,000. All of it's been issued. Still having a great month. But Xander, what are you at for the week so far, man?
I'm just under 9. We'll see how the rest of the week shape. I got a big IUL after this. Fingers crossed.
I like it. Well, after I read her stats, it's going to make us look real bad.
Yeah, it is.
So Ashley got her start in the industry in 2020. She's written over 2,300 applications. It's probably much higher than that now. I don't know when this was written. Over $2 million in annual premium. This is simplified issued life insurance, y'all, not big infinite banking IUL policies. This is mortgage protection. She's earned a bunch of awards: 2020 Top 10 Rookie of the Year Award, 2021 Impact Player of the Year Award, 2021 Top App Count Award, 2022 Elite Producer Award, 2022 Top 10 Rookie Agency she's building as well. We're going to dig into that. 2022 Mutual of Omaha Producer Award. Again, Impact Player of the Year Award in 2023. Top Female Producer in the Nation in 2023. And again, in 2023, Top App Count in the Nation. She's won multiple carrier trips with American Amicable. And then 2024 Impact Player of the Year Award. She's an elite producer. She's an absolute badass, and she's very humble about what she's been able to accomplish. But welcome to the show, Ashley. How are you doing this week?
Hi, I'm doing great. How are you guys?
Living the dream.
Absolutely.
Living the dream. So you've done a lot, and
I take a lot of naps. I sleep all the time.
Hey, somebody write that down. That's a nugget right there. Take naps. She's a mom. She's homeschooling her kids. She's building a business. She's an entrepreneur. And we want to spotlight you. We want to help people know who you are. And hopefully we can give people some nuggets that they can go apply to their business in the next week. But we also just want to have a conversation, because I mean, if I accomplished half of those things, that would be pretty freaking awesome. So have you always just been ultra successful in insurance? What did it start out like?
No, so my joke is my sales experience was in college. I worked at Dillard's. I was a shoe saleswoman. I didn't really sell shoes. I went in the back and I tried on shoes myself, and then I bought them. So I
sold yourself first.
Spent my entire paycheck on shoes for myself, because I was, so awkward. I'm not a people person, which is funny.
That's surprising. That's
Right?
surprising
That does
to hear.
surprise me.
If you asked anyone in my family, would Ashley be good at sales? Every single person would be like, no, absolutely not. She should never do that. So, yeah, it was selling shoes at Dillard's for like 3 or 4 months in college. That was it. But I joke about this too. I remember driving to my first appointment. I was like having a minor panic attack. I don't even know if you guys drove to appointments, by the way, but
I did.
did you?
I
Okay,
did not.
I did.
You earned your streak right there, literally. And so, I was like, is this legal? Like, I don't even know what a term policy is. Like, I don't think they should have given me my license. Like, I get it. I don't have a criminal background, but like, what is a whole life policy? I don't even understand. I had, pages and like thousands of pages of applications in the back of my car. And I'm just like, I don't know what the heck this crap means. Like, what am I going to say to these people? And yeah, I mean, obviously it's somewhat worked out for me a little bit. So
I'd say so.
Somewhat.
I would say so. So one of the questions we ask everybody is, would you sell this week or would you sell this month so far on your own pen? I know you're building too, you're doing a lot, but what do your numbers look like most recently?
Yeah, I'm at 10K for the week, 30K for the month.
Come
There
on.
we go.
She's got
Building
both
and
of us beat.
producing. Yeah.
I think I'm at 28 grand for the month so far. Very impressive. So how did we all grow up thinking we want to be insurance agents, right? I mean, I went to,
It was on, Jake from State Farm was on my wall when I would sleep at.
yes.
Oh, yeah.
How'd you get introduced to this company? What was it maybe about this company, or better question, what was it about the person who introduced you to this company that made you want to get your insurance license and get started?
I probably shouldn't give the exact details of that situation, but I'll give you a general overview.
Okay.
So I used to be a public high school teacher. I taught biology. I coached the girls soccer team. I did the math once, like how much I got paid to coach the girls soccer team. And it was less than $5 an hour, which I was like, man, is this legal? How are you?
Volunteering
then,
pretty much.
On top of that, I'm educating and essentially babysitting other people's children, and I'm getting paid, not very well for that. So I made $40,000 a year and I worked my butt off. I taught in 2 different school districts, and, I went to private school. I was raised by a single mom. We got scholarships. Basically, my sister and I were good at soccer, so the coaches kind of paid for us to go to the school. I don't know if that was legal either. I guess this is going to be a conversation about it's not legal. I don't know. There's a gray area, but yeah. So I was just like, man, the school system is so broken. I was in, high school a decade prior, and now I'm teaching kids and I'm seeing how drastically different it is. And it wasn't just a one-off in one school district. And so I was like, man, if I ever have kids, I am never putting my kids in the public school system ever. I will sell everything I own. I will work all night, all day. I don't care what it takes. I'm homeschooling my kids. I didn't have any kids yet, but in my mind, that was my thought. And so, obviously I was married. That situation was extremely toxic, not healthy, not okay. I can't say one good thing about it.
Man, I'm sorry to hear that. That's rough. That is so rough.
That's okay. I've met so many women, just doing this, who have been through so much and been in even worse situations. So, that's something that we'll get into, I'm sure, later on the talk here. But it was a bad situation. And so in 2015 I gave birth to my oldest son, Cooper, and that was probably the first time that I started to really believe in myself, and the mental turmoil that I was in my marriage, on top of for giving birth to my child. I'm a control freak because I was actually raised in an abusive home as well. And so,
oh my gosh,
something that we do when we're abused as children is we like to control, anything we can. And so I was like, okay, no medication. I want to pull my baby out of my body myself, all natural. Nobody touched me. I got this. And I did.
Damn.
So I thought of that and then did it. And so I was like, okay. And, I had told my husband, hey, get your crap together because I'm staying home with this child. I was raised by a single mom. I was the last kid. My sister and I were the last kids at aftercare, where the lady's is anyone coming to get you guys? And, I get it now being a parent. I go back and look at, the struggles that my mom went through, and I'm just man, I get it. And so I was you need to work. You need to get a job. You need to do something. And so he found Symmetry in a Craigslist ad. And
wow.
Yeah. So funny enough, the guy that made my life unimaginably painful is the one that found the answer for me to get out.
I never knew that. That's insane.
Yep. So if you knew the details, I really truly feel like it was a God thing as far as like how everything happened, and it was pretty amazing. So he started in symmetry around that same time, 2014, 2015. And, at that time, now I'm a stay-at-home mom. I get to be with my kid. I'm trying to get through the day with him and all the struggles that come with him. And then it's I'm like, man, this guy works like 5 hours a week. Like, how is he making this much money? Like, we were going on trips. I could go to the grocery store and like didn't bat an eye at what I was spending at the grocery store. Things like that. And so I was like, what is he doing? Like, what is Symmetry Financial Group?
Yeah.
So, I would hear the calls in the background. I would hear him book appointments. I would hear like, the appointment booking script, the smoker joke. I was like, man, that crap is not funny. I would never say that. And so I could hear it though, you know what I mean? And so I got pregnant again in 2016. Again, my situation was getting worse. And so 2016 was the first time I actually said out loud, like, I want a divorce. I can't do this. I'm literally not going to be here anymore because this is too much. And, same thing with my second son, all natural birth, pulled him out myself. And so now I've got 2 little boys. Now I am super in survival mode, like not sleeping. I'm doing everything for my kids' house, like, house is spotless, all that stuff. I was like the epitome of a stay-at-home mama. And it was just 3 years went by. So Cam, my youngest son, was born in 2017. So then we got to 2019. And that was when, again, I got to a point where I was like, I'm done. And so I had filed for divorce. Now, my situation was, like I said, I'll use the word toxic. When I filed for divorce, I didn't even have $100 in my bank account, and he drained my bank account. And so now I have $0. I have 2 kids. And in 2016, when I had said I wanted a divorce, I went in his phone when he was sleeping, and I put all the phone numbers of these Symmetry people in my phone. And so 2016 is when I was like, this is my way out. Like, Symmetry's my way out, because I can't go back to teaching. I won't be able to homeschool my kids. I'm not going to, make nothing and pay someone else to raise my kids. And so I was like, Symmetry's my way out. This guy never works and we pay our bills. Like, if he can do it, I can do it. And so 3 years went by, and I found where those phone numbers were in my phone. And, I made a call, and I was like crying, desperate. And I was like, I just filed for food stamps and Medicaid. Like, I need to get licensed. Please help me. Like, pure panic. And, so then I started the process of getting my license. And then it was like, literally trying to find $50 here, $100 here. And so I went through, selling my kids' toys. I would find furniture on the side of the road, and I would literally like carry it back, or I would put it in a vehicle and I would paint it, and I would sell it on Craigslist, Let Go, like anything like that. And so I was just trying to find anything that I possibly could. I had like a small amount of teacher retirement. I think it was like $3,000 or something. But still, it was like, hey, that's gonna, get me to where I need to go, to where I can get licensed by leads. I can pay for food for my kids. I had 0, so I was living off of credit cards. And going through all of the turmoil that you can imagine filing from divorce from somebody like that. And so it was just pure chaos. You could not pay me to go back and go through all that again. Put it that way. I don't care if you gave me $1 billion. I would not go back and do that again.
Holy shit.
That was how I started. It was not ideal, but I knew all these people were doing it. I saw him do it. And so I was like, I need to. There's nothing else I can do. Here we go. And
did getting to hear some of his appointments, the booking, did some of that osmosis transfer when you first started, or was it a brand new learning curve all over again? Because I haven't talked to anybody who just comes in and first month, 30K issue paid. Like, I haven't seen that yet.
Yeah. So I never heard him run an appointment. And I never saw like the real script that we use or anything like that. My training was, do you know how to make a friend? And I was like, kind of. I'm really not social, but kind of. He's like, okay, go make a friend. And I was like, all right. But no, it 100% helped that I had heard him book appointments before. So like, I bought my first batch of leads. I booked appointments on my first batch of leads. I wrote my first appointment that I sat with, and her brother was walking around in the house, and I was like, hey, I'm going to make another friend. I wrote him I have no idea what the heck I said to him, but I wrote 2 policies. And so, right, that was it. Like the first time for any new agent, the first time you go through the whole process of buying leads, calling them, booking them, they show, you write an application, it gets approved. Like now you're like, okay, I can do this. And so I remember driving home from that appointment, like just probably the most excited I had been, aside from just anything to do with my children, in years. And like, it was obviously extremely painful for me to leave my kids for 2 seconds because I'd never been away from them. And so, I remember coming back and I'm like crying and I'm like, we're going to get out of this. Like, super dramatic. But yeah, that was it. As soon as I did it, then I was like, all right, do it again.
I think a lot of agents struggle with trying to visualize and seeing themselves doing something they've never done. And when I got my insurance license, I was similar to you, Ashley, in that I didn't know anything about insurance. Could not tell you the difference between a term policy and a whole life policy. Failed my exam the first time I took it. Like I was bad. And doing it for the first time, buying leads, running an appointment, writing an app, the light bulb went off for me that like, hey, I can keep doing this. I can do it over and over again. I was calculating the commission on the way home. And one thing I want to dig into, because your story is so, you said it yourself. You started in survival mode. You were digging yourself out of a tremendous situation, adversity left and right, super broke. You were flipping furniture to buy leads, like single mom raising 2 young boys. Was it just desperate? I assume it was like you had to make a change. There was no other option. Were you looking at other opportunities, or was it just symmetry? This is it.
Just symmetry. Yep. Just symmetry.
Man.
I mean, I've always had a type of mindset. My older sister and I, both of us have a similar mindset. We're like extremely driven, perfectionist tendencies. Like, I played college soccer. So like summers, I would train for hours and hours, multiple times a day in the summer. And like, I wanted to beat everyone in every single thing that I could possibly beat them at. So I already had that mindset. I already made goals for myself every year. Like I was already a freak like that. And so,
super competitive.
Yeah.
Very, very much so. Yeah. And so, coming into this type of culture and environment, yes, I was in survival mode, but like my brain is already like wired for stuff like this. Like I enjoy a challenge. I enjoy pushing myself to an extreme and then like seeing how much further I can push myself past that. That to me is almost like, if anyone's kind of seen my journey a little bit in symmetry, you'll see like maybe I'll do some weird stuff. Like I'll go to Alaska and like drive into the Arctic Circle and like jump into a freezing river or something. But like that stuff to me, it like reminds me that I'm alive. And I was in a situation where it was like, I felt like I was dying every day. And so it's like, hey, like you got out, you're alive, like live your life, girl. Experience whatever you want to experience.
Man, I love that. Love that. So I think I know the answer to this. When you first started, were you wanting to recruit and build a team right away? Were you just trying to get back to broke essentially and make money selling? Talk to us a little bit about that.
I'm pretty sure I word for word said, I don't want to talk to anyone. I don't want to talk to anyone unless yeah. I was like, please just keep me away, people. So no, it was not, a thought at all. I think my first year, like one of my best friends, she was like, what are you doing? And, everyone just watches from a distance. And so it was like her and I, our first year or whatever. And then I didn't come into this obviously with like a business mindset. I didn't know crap about business. I didn't know anything about tracking numbers and whatever. It was just like I had papers over here. I had file folders that I wanted to put everything in and like just keep that organized because you got to remember in the beginning, like my kids were 2 and 4. I mean, one's still in diapers, one's off and on with potty training because of all the trauma that's going on in our lives. And, it's not like I had 2 hours to sit down and dial. I had like 13 minutes to sit down and dial, and I was running back and forth. And then I was talking to them through monitors and like putting them in a room and like trying to teach them how to write and read. And, then I'd come back because they would sit still and draw for a picture, like on a picture for 10 minutes. So then I was like, cool, let me try to book one appointment in 10 minutes. And it's just like,
Yeah.
go, go, go.
Man.
And so, yeah, I the last thing I wanted to do was build. It was like, I mean, $1 to me back then was like $100 or $1,000. It was like anything helped, because it was just like, okay, every cent that I make gets me farther away from this that I came from, that I never want to go back to. So yeah.
And in the middle of all that, you broke a bunch of Symmetry records. Like Elijah read off some of your accolades. Like, what did your schedule look like? Like that, there's so many people who are curious. Like 3 100K APV months in a row, homeschooling, kids at home. Like that is no small feat to do without all that other stuff going on. Like, what does your day look like? I got to imagine you were fairly busy.
Yeah. I mean, when I did the 300K run, I mean, it was not healthy. I don't recommend anyone to do that. That's how I process going through painful things in life. So, no, I mean, honestly, what started that was, I had so many women reaching out to me that were like, hey, I've been in an abusive situation. I've been through this, me too, me that. And then it was, what I had gone through, and just being so angry about what had happened, to me, my kids, and like just those types of people. And then my mother, having issues with my mother. And so it was kind of like, man, the two most important people in my life, my husband and my mother, have like made my life immensely painful. And I could not understand why. And I'm someone that always wants to understand things. And so I was like, I'm becoming obsessed with trying to understand something that I'm not meant to understand. And so like, maybe that's just not for me, because I'm not like them. I'm me. And so I was like, I have to do something with this energy, this turmoil that's kind of in me. And so, I was making my goals the end of that year, and I was like, all right, what's something nobody in Symmetry's ever done? I'm going to do 100,000 in 30 days. And my mentor was like, oh, a couple people have done that. And I was like, all right, that's not good enough. And then, I was like, it's going to be 2023. I love Michael Jordan. When I was a kid, I did have Michael Jordan stuff all over my wall. Every newspaper clipping and everywhere was like in my closet. And so I was like, all right, 2023, I'm going to do a 3-peat. Nobody's done 100K 3 months in a row. And the thing is, like, I don't write like big IULs. I don't write big policies, period. Like, my average app size is like $900 something. And so it was like, all right, I've got so many people here that give me excuses about, I can't do this. It's the leads. It's my mentor. It's this. It's my schedule. I can't. I'm tired. My kids, this, my husband, blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, okay, watch. And so I basically I said I was going to do it before I did it. And, I'm the type of person where if I say something and I decide something, like, it just happens. I make it happen no matter what. And it's, yeah, I mean, my schedule for that, I mean, I was sleeping, 4 hours a night, working round the clock. Like, I still went to my kids' soccer practice, soccer games. I still went to Alaska. Like, I wrote apps literally out in the mountains in Alaska. I used my phone as a hotspot.
I remember that.
I wrote apps at gas stations on the side of the road. I was like, look, you can live your normal life, and you can control your income, and you can still be a present parent. My kids were involved with me every day. They would, put an X on, I had a 90-day calendar on my wall, and say at the end of every night, they'd go in there and be so happy to X that out. Cause I was like, cool, when I'm done, we're going to go stay in Miami. We're going to go to, we were going to go to the Keys, and then we're going to do a Disney cruise. And so my kids are all excited about this trip, multiple trips. And then it was just trying to get them involved and still teach them and all that stuff. But one thing I would say that I implemented, because I knew the biggest challenge was just going to be mentally having that many conversations and not feeling like you're going crazy or like a robot. Like, I wanted to actually be present with people having the conversations. And so I implemented meditating, where I would only listen to basically instrumental music, classical music, the piano. And so if you saw, I documented every single day of that journey on Facebook. And so whatever I wrote about was what I thought about when I was meditating. And that to me was the best part, I would say, that I got from that was I found a way to basically calm myself no matter what chaos was going on outside. Because I still, I was on every call. I still read the books and all that stuff. But it was like, I need to find a way to be like stable no matter what, because life is always going to throw things at you. And so that was kind of like the best part of it for me, for sure.
Wow. I want to dig into that because 100,000, just to put this into perspective for people who have no idea how ridiculous that is, $100,000 in a month is very rare for an agent to do. $100,000 3 months in a row had never been done. And it wasn't one of those goals, Ashley, that you set and then you tried to hit and then maybe missed it and then tried it again and then you hit it. You did it the first freaking try. I remember it.
Days, actually.
You did it early. I remember January, February, March. You were just at number 1, 2, or 3 on the weekly leaderboards every single week. And it wasn't something that you missed. And what's wild about it is you were able to go do some pretty cool stuff during that 90-day period too.
Yeah.
I remember you posting a picture outside somewhere in Alaska. There was ice everywhere, a mountain, and you had your laptop. I think you might have been sitting in a car.
That was being obnoxious.
It was so cool to watch, and it inspired a ton of people. But just knowing what precipitated that goal initially was to prove people wrong, show women what was possible, because a lot of them knew your story, where you came from, and you took control of your situation, which to me is like, that's pretty badass. And as far as the schedule goes, were you just doing like 10-hour days, Monday through Saturday? Were you doing 7 days a week? Like, what did that look like?
It was pretty much every day of the week at that point. I mean, so I've got like mom stuff to do too, like dish dates from the day, or, I shoot Uber Eats. I used nonstop because I was like, I don't have time to cook. Sorry, guys, delivery. So things like that. But no, it was, when I make a schedule, the first thing I would put into a schedule is like team calls, when I'm reading, when I'm meditating, when whenever I'm doing stuff to just make sure that my mind is on point. And then it's, my kids still have soccer or, things like that. I have my kids in a homeschool group, so they're in a classroom setting. Like, we meet once a week for that too. And so I'm like, okay, I'm completely blocked off for this time on Mondays. And, I work different time zones. That's the key to everything that I've ever done, is that I work different time zones. I live in Florida and I work the West Coast. And so I can stay up till, easily midnight or later sometimes, writing applications where most people are sleeping and watching Netflix. I'm over here writing business. And so
come on,
things like that. The time zone thing was huge. If not, I would never be able to do any of this. It would be impossible. So yeah.
So you expanded your workday and took advantage of non-resident licenses. That's pretty genius. And one thing too, like for the people out there wondering, all right, how much money does that equate to? If you're at a starting contract rate with our company and you sell $300,000 in a year, okay, you're making over 100, 150, maybe even 200,000, depending on what products you're writing. And you did that in a 3-month period. Did you just go on like a month-long vacation after that? Because I know you continued to sell that year. And I think you finished 2023 over $500,000 for the year. Is that right?
$600K for the year, yeah.
Good night. What'd you do with all the money? I mean, you could do some pretty cool stuff with that amount of income.
I have a traveling problem. Like, go on vacation a lot because you can work from anywhere, and so
you can.
I mean, yeah, I probably go on a trip with my kids, which, I'm paying for 2 other people, so it's 3 times as expensive, but we probably go on vacation every 2 months easily. Sometimes last year it was probably, or 2023, it was probably every month. I mean, if anyone looks at Airbnb and they're like, oh, that beach house looks cool, then I was like, you guys want to go? And they're like, yeah. And so then it's, all right, cool. Here's, a couple grand. We'll go stay at the beach. I'll work for a few hours here. We'll go have an adventure. I'll work for a few hours here. We did that actually multiple times that year, and we stayed on the east coast of Florida. And so sea turtles actually come up and lay their eggs at night. So literally my kids and I would be walking the beach in the middle of the night, and we would see these massive sea turtles come up and lay their eggs. And, like, what
How
a life.
cool is
You just
that?
get to work. I'm still getting paid the same amount, and I'm just having little adventures with my kids and creating memories, which is ultimately, what matters most to me is making memories with them. So
Mm.
Right. But I wonder one thing. So anyone listening to this, right? Like that is everyone's dream life, right? You can go be on vacation whenever, make the same income, get to share great experiences with your family. One thing I've seen, and you're a killer builder too, is a lot of agents understand that. Like they understand that, hey, I can do this from wherever, but they almost reach for that before they have the basics down. And at least for me, I kind of had to lock myself in. Not, I haven't done the same level that you have yet, but I had to lock in and just like appointments booking script. I need to be able to say that in my sleep. If you just woke me up, someone's breaking in my house, I should be able to, hey, I'm Xander. I'm reaching out to you about, and same with the appointment script. And I wonder, have you seen that? And if so, how do you help people see like, yes, you can do that, but you got to do A, B, and C first and get them to just get the skill down before they try and go live that life.
yeah, I mean, I did that. I mean, I had $0. I started my first 2 months. I spent $1,200 on leads. I wrote 20,000. I issued over 18,000. So now I had thousands of dollars in my account. So 2 months into this, I was like, I'm gonna go on vacation. I'm getting the heck out of here. So I literally took my kids and drove across the country. And then COVID happened and everything shut down. So not only did I have to you have a train at rest, you're getting the train to move, and then I stopped the train, and now I have to implement whatever Zoom stuff people are talking about and like all this. And I'm like, I'm not getting on a Zoom. I don't want people to see me. I got kids running around in the background. Like I need a mute button all the time. And so, um, yeah, it was just now I'm learning a new process. So it still took me no matter what. And I stress this to people, like I didn't start and it was just like the easiest thing ever. And, like, I got so upset about no shows too. Now I don't give a crap. It doesn't bother me. Uh, I've got cancellations now. I don't care. There's 10 other applications in the pipeline. It doesn't bother me. It's normal. Things like that. But I remember it was July of 2020. So I had been doing this 6 months. I kind of took 2 months off just to watch people do this virtually. And then I saw all these different people doing it. And I was like, okay, they all look different. They all talk different. They all come from different backgrounds. It's a me problem. Like I'm the reason why I'm not successful. And
Mm.
so getting back into it again, getting the train rolling. And then it was July where I wrote like 15,000 in a month. And I was so not satisfied. Now I was like getting, my crazy tunnel vision where I'm like, all right, how do I do that in a week? Let's go. Like I'm ready to
Yeah.
roll.
Yeah.
And, that took 6 months, like 6 months of trial, error, failing, all that stuff. And so you're teaching yourself a new skill. I really try to stress that to people. And I even go back to when, you're a baby, when you're a toddler, going through things like that. Like I think back when I was teaching my kids just to count to 10, my oldest son always left out the number 6. It was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9. And I'm like, no, dude, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And so it's repetition, repetition, repetition. Now he can count to 10 just fine. But it's like you're teaching your mind to do something new. Same thing when you're learning how to walk. Like
Mm.
you naturally fall, but you naturally get back up. Like it's not
Right.
in your mind when you're a baby, like, oh my gosh, I'm not going to try again because I'm going to fall again. Yeah, heck yeah, you're going to fall again. But eventually you're going to get better at walking. And now, look at us walk now. And so it's
Yeah.
the same exact principle when you're teaching yourself sales, when you're teaching yourself how to book appointments, when you're teaching yourself the psychology of question asking, of tonality in your voice and things like that. It is repetition, repetition, repetition. And so it just got to the point where, I've always said this, I picture it like a mental maze, right? So I'm at start, I'm trying to find a way to get to the finish line, but like I want to do it as quickly and efficiently as possible. And so the more appointments I ran, the better I get, the smoother I got. Every objection, my response wasn't where I was panicking and my voice, raised and then people got off the phone or whatever. I just got to a point where everything was normal. I was always calm, cool, and collected, and it just came naturally. But if you don't give yourself the proper amount of time to practice the basics, you're never going to be successful. It's practice, practice, repetition, repetition. Same thing for a sport, for learning a new skill, regardless, you're learning a skill. So yeah.
Right. And I
Mm.
mean, again, to anyone listening, like this is very similar to what Jake Van Dusen was saying, right? He's like, you want to do more, go do more. It's pretty simple. And like the kind of like you said, you can almost feel like a robot sometimes because you're saying the same thing over and over again. But I found that when that becomes natural, suddenly objections, not only are they not scary, but it's like, cool. We get to, they
Yeah.
threw me a curveball. I get to use my
Right.
brain a little bit. And at least for me, I started seeing more success when it was to the point where it was just like almost, I don't want to say boring because we say the name of the show is Insurance Isn't Boring, but when you can do it so many times that it's unconscious competence. And so it's great to hear, again, anyone listening, big 100K a month producers, that's kind of where you got to get to. You got to put in that legwork. There's no reward without some work.
You can't shortcut the shortcut. Insurance already is a shortcut. You go help a couple people with policies, and 3 days later, you got $2,000 in your bank account. There's not many opportunities you can do that. And I think people, what we do is simple. It's not easy, but I think a lot of people want to try to make it easy so that they can work less. And you took the opposite approach. You were like, I'm gonna double and triple down. And one thing I wanted to ask you too, because I think I heard this right. When you were running that 300K in 3 months goal, you were booking all your own appointments. Did you have a couple appointment setters?
I had one appointment setter and myself. So
Okay.
if you go back and look at my numbers, she was sick for 3 weeks out of that 90-day span. And so the weeks that I like barely squeaked out 20K, that was when she was gone. And so I was like, okay, just break 20K. You have some other weeks that had higher APV, like it'll all even out. I knew no matter what, I needed to hit like 23,300 APV a week. And so that was my goal every week, is like try to break 20K. And I broke 20K every week.
Yep.
But that was like in my mind of like, okay, at least get there. But where, most people might stop and say, cool, I hit my goal for the week. I was like, no, let's get more, because now no matter what, I'm closer to the end goal. It wasn't,
right.
It was micro goals, but it was ultimately the end goal of like, I just want to get to 300. And at the same time, looking at the numbers, it was over 100 applications every single month. So if you do the math, average, agent's going to have $1,000 APV for app. So just go look at, it's over 100 applications. I broke 100K every month. And, it's all numbers. This business is all numbers. I wish people would just take the emotion out of it and just like literally make a spreadsheet, like do something so you actually look at your numbers, because that's the answer to every problem that you have.
Absolutely. And math tells a story, numbers tell a story, gives you something you can measure, and what you can measure, you can manage. I think you were booking, what was it, like 50 appointments a week or so, or were you running 50 a week?
No, I wasn't. Thank God I wasn't running 50. So
I mean, that's insane.
I know with my numbers, if I talk to 10 people, I'll close 8 or 9 of them. And so I basically wanted to have my goals for each kind of area there, like for an average agent. So I know an average agent, if they booked 50 appointments, 25 are going to show. If they talk to 25, they should write half of those. So let's say they write, 12 or 13. Let's say they write 12. Okay. And so if you've got 12 people that you write, typically it's 2 people per appointment. If not, I write multiple apps on people. So I'll always throw in an accidental. I'll always throw in children's whole life, like a cancer policy, something. I just group it all together. And so I was like, all right, if I write at least 2 applications per presentation that I'm writing, that's $24,000 of APV a week. Boom, I'm done. Like, I'm good. And so it's just cutting everything in halves. I call it the law of halves, like cut everything in half. If you have 50 appointments, half should show, you should write half and go from there.
One thing I want to talk to you about, because I think managing your mental sanity while you're doing something wild like that is the secret sauce. And you mentioned meditating, which calms your mind, quiets you, helps you focus. I know you're very open about your faith. What have you been reading in the Bible recently? Like, what also, to follow that back up, like how did you lean on your faith while overcoming the adversity that you overcame? Because a lot of people would let a situation like that define them, hold them back, be the reason they don't do something. It's almost like you made it the reason that you were going to be successful. So talk to us a little bit about your faith and how that played into your journey so far.
Yeah. So, I mean, anything that Paul writes in the Bible is my favorite. Paul's very direct, which tends to be my personality. If you haven't noticed it's already. Um, so yeah, I love that. Um, I mean, the more I guess I got to the point where it was like, the more I'm reading, the more I'm like not sitting here thinking about things that are consuming me and not serving my life and my purpose. Um,
Mhm.
and so, even basically, I think of it in this way to kind of simplify it and not be like, I guess religious or one way is the right way and so forth. Ultimately, we have a creator, and I think most people would at least agree on that. And so I think, we're almost meant to be here to create the life that we want. Insurance, in a weird way, gives us more of a chance of creating the life that we want. And so, something that I love to do is experience life and pay attention to things that maybe most people don't pay attention to. I think the way that the world has been designed by human beings is, you work a 9 to 5 and you work till 65 and you retire and like that's it. Make sure your bills are paid. Like don't dream, just be a robot and that's it. And, I dream of like being in nature, like going on adventures when I was a kid and I would see my dad. One of my favorite memories with my dad is he would pick us up, we saw him every other weekend. And so he would like pull over on the side of the road and he'd be like, let's go have an adventure. And it was just me, my dad, and my sister like walking through the woods, finding a creek or, jumping in a canal or like something just wild like that. And, that's one thing that I've tried to carry on with my kids is just like, look, there's a forest. Let's go have an adventure. Like, let's do it in a bigger scale. Obviously, my dad didn't have the finances to be able to do it like I've been able to, but I'm like, hey, let's go to Alaska. Let's go fly in a private plane and go look at bears in the wild, catching salmon, like stuff that you see on TV. I want to live it,
Yeah.
be in that, environment and like feel it. And so I want them to feel that. And, I know one day I won't be here. And so all that they're going to have are like the memories that I make with them. And so
Mm.
I live my life in a way now where I want to create as many memories with them as I possibly can because, life is short. I think people take every second of the day for granted. And I take every second of the day as like the greatest blessing of my life. Like I get another second with my kids. I get another
Mhm.
second to work on myself. I get another second to I've got way too many animals over here. So probably like my son will get me to get another animal or something. But it's just that for me is like the ultimate goal is that. And then also like coming home and just being at peace at home. Like I never got that as a kid. I never got that in my marriage. I never got to actually be home and be at peace. And so now it's like creating a space that I don't want to escape from. How can I do that for myself and my kids? Like
Mhm.
that's the ultimate thing. And
Mhm.
so if I'm able to show them that, that's going to resonate with them more than me talking to them. And so, I want to the best of my ability, live my life in a way that speaks without me having to speak. Me doing the
Mhm.
300K, it's probably me saying F you to a couple people. Whoa, there you go. I didn't have to say it. I said it very loudly and clearly.
Right.
But,
That's
I
powerful.
just want to live it out in that sense. Even with, like you said, the meditating and stuff. One of the artists that I discovered during that time, his name's Ludovico. He's this brilliant pianist. And so like last year I actually flew to Italy and I watched him perform live. And
Wow.
it's like, something like that. Like who gets to do that? That's stuff that you just like think about or see in a movie or whatever. I'm actually flying to see him again next month in Paris. But
Wow.
That's
because I
incredible.
love traveling, but it's like it's the experience, right? Like I want to feel that in real life. I don't want to feel it through a screen or with someone else. I just want to be there and I want to, share it with my kids or even share it with people and show people what's possible. I mean, trust me, I get it. If people are on here listening or, anyone that's on any platform and you're like, man, I'm broken, I'm suffering, I'm, lonely and pain, whatever. Like, I get it. Trust me. I am right there with you, but do something with it. Like, all
Yeah.
of that is meant to show you who you're supposed to be to yourself, not to anyone else, to yourself. Like, prove
Mhm.
it to yourself. Screw everyone else. Prove to yourself exactly who you want to be. Use that as fuel to project you to the life that you want to create. Don't use it as something that's just going to burn you alive. Like, use it to move. And so, there's a lot of puzzle pieces. There's a lot of intentionality with everything. But when you get to where all that stuff comes normal and it's a habit, then it's like, okay, this is why all this happened. If this didn't happen, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't know, what this is like. I wouldn't have experienced these things. So in a weird way, you end up being grateful and like saying thank you to, things that happened or people, places, all that stuff.
We could just end the podcast right there.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
We're not going to, though. I want to squeeze the most out of this. So now you're building. One thing that stood out to me is, I mean, you're a natural teacher, natural coach. You were doing that before insurance, and you took a little bit of a break from that to work on yourself, get your today money. You're still doing that, but you're attracting people to your team. When did you start building, and what has that journey been like? Because it's a very different job than personal production.
So that one's been, I'm going to say something I have not actually said to anyone before. Literally, that one's been tough. So naturally, I have women who have been abused come to me, share their story and things like that. And so, I've had women who have found success in this. Last year at conference, I had a woman who took her own life. She committed suicide.
Oh my God.
And that one crushed me. Crushed me. Like you said, you've never seen an agent come in and write 20, 30,000. This woman came in and she wrote 20,000 her first month. And she was so, the hard thing is when you've been through abuse, when you've been through trauma, just because you get out, that's like the beginning. That's barely scratching the surface on the beginning. And so you've got so much healing to do. And a lot of women can't get out of these situations because they can't financially get out of them. And so this woman who was such an amazing woman, I talked to her every single day, multiple times a day. She was basically like a dream, like new agent, the ones who like blow your phone up and they're like, I'm sorry, I'm bothering you. I'm like, you're not. Like, let's go, girl.
Yeah.
And she was doing all the things and she was doing so great, but it was just, she had gone through so much mental turmoil that, eventually, obviously, we lost her, but, going through something like that, and I'm saying that on this, I guess, for people to see is like, you never know how much someone is struggling. And so for us as leaders, for us as builders, if you want to call it, it's our job to meet people where they are. I've got some women on my team where I'm just like, hey, I don't care if you ever write anything. I care that you're okay as a human being. Like maybe you're not meant to be an insurance agent. Maybe you're just meant to pick up a couple little nuggets because I went through the same things. Things like that. And so I don't ever push people to do something I want them to do. I just let them know, hey, I'm here. My brain is a mountain of knowledge when it comes to sales. If you want access to it, I'm here. I will show up for you 100% of the time. I will make room in my schedule. I will stay up past midnight. I will wake up at the crack of dawn. Like whatever you need, I'm here. But I can't want this for you more than you want it for yourself. If you don't want it for yourself, it doesn't matter how good or great I am at this. I'm not going to be able to help you. And so that's the difference with, when you're building. Yes, obviously you can find ways to motivate people, empower people and things like that. But like, I wanted this so bad that it was like oozing out of my pores. Like I so badly did not want to go back to what I came from. And so it was like, there was nothing else that, was an option for me. It was like, no, I'm going to learn this. I'm going to be successful at this. I'm going to do all of this over the phone. I'm not going to do Zoom. Like it was just decisions that you make. And so, I've got a couple books coming out this year. One of the books is called The Power of a Decided Mind. And so,
love that title.
That book will come out later in the year, but, it's just, I've obviously experienced that on a level of magnitude that maybe most people won't. But when you truly decide to do something, there should be nothing that gets in the way of achieving that. Like you make it happen no matter what, at all costs. Because I think you're really wanting to prove something to yourself. When you have something that you genuinely want to accomplish, like you're proving it to yourself. Nobody's going to necessarily remember that one lady that wrote 300,000. Like I'm more interested in the woman that, spoke to me and we had a private conversation that nobody knows about. And like, I'm able to show up for her and nobody sees it. Like that's more meaningful to me than saying, oh my gosh, she did this, she did that. Like, no, I genuinely want to actually help people who are going through struggles in life. And ultimately, if this business helps them, great. It helped me tremendously. I wouldn't have gotten out of my situation if I didn't have this business. So, in a sense, this business quite literally saved my life. So yeah, that's I guess where I'm at with building. I don't necessarily go about it the same way as like bring in 100 people and like we'll go like that. Like I more so want to help people who are like genuinely trying to take this on full circle and be the best version of themselves and use this as a vessel, which is really what it is, to get to the next step. I mean, there's no business that exists that I know of where you can make the amount of money that you can make here, and now I can use that to grow other businesses. So that's ultimately, a priceless thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh my
You
gosh.
mentioned you have a couple of books coming out. Is there? We want to make sure everybody knows where they can find the knowledge that you're giving out to them.
Yeah, for sure. So one book I wrote is just a sales training book. Elijah, I told you earlier that like I've got so many people that are like, hey, can you teach me? Can you mentor me? This, that, whatever, or something. And I'm like, man, I don't have time to like spend with everyone to break down recordings or this or that. And so yeah, I was like, let me just write a sales book. Let me put like what my schedule looks like sometimes. Let me put what I read, what I listen to, what I do, my appointment booking script, my sales presentation, like broken down. This is why I say this. This is what I'm thinking when I say this. And so forth. So The Power of a Decided Mind will come out later in the year. The first one is the sales book, and that'll come out hopefully before within the first 6 months. I'm trying to basically finish the editing on that one. But I really wanted to make sure anyone who's got input as far as like objections that keep coming up, obviously I want to think about it and can't get the bank info, can't get the social, all that stuff will be in there. But anything else that pops up that people are struggling with, I would love to get feedback on that so I can put it in the book. I've ran over 5,000 presentations, so I probably have heard every single objection that you guys have heard. So
I'd say so.
Yeah, I want to be able to, put that in the book to help people. So they'll be on Amazon, or I've got a website, trainingbyashley.com, that the books are on. And then I've got a sales training program and then some other fun stuff on there. So yeah.
And that book, correct me if I'm wrong, it's going to be called Earn Big, Sell Smart. Is that right? Excellent. Cannot wait for that to come out. I'm going to be getting a couple copies.
Yeah, same.
I appreciate you being so vulnerable with us and being real. Not a lot of people know what it's like to lose someone to suicide. It's a different type of grief.
Yeah.
And it can be a difficult to witness and be a part of, because all death is sudden, but it's just different. It's different. I don't know how to describe it other than that. I lost my best friend, the guy who actually brought me into this business, took his own life, and the day before his birthday, and it stunted me big time. Yeah. I was building before that. I was building for a little bit after that. After the team that I had, small team, it was like 8 or 9 writers. After they all quit, I was like, you know what? Screw building. I'm just going to sell and see what I'm capable of. I've never just sold. And it was a really impactful season for me to make that decision and not do what everybody was like, don't stop recruiting. You're going to quit. You're not going to be here in 6 months. And I was like, buddy, you don't know what you're talking about. let me just do this for me. And so I just want to point out how impactful that was for you to be there for that woman and all the other people on your team, despite going through that. It's a big deal. That would be the type of thing that would rock a lot of people and cause them it could shake the foundation. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
So you got a book coming out, couple books actually. I think the last thing I want to ask is, you've given a lot of really good advice. How important was getting to events in your journey? I know we do a lot of conferences as a company. I know you've been to several.
Yeah.
How important was that for you, especially early on as you were getting started?
Yeah, everyone's probably heard you are who you surround yourself with. I was surrounded by a lot of toxic people. So, I think the most important thing that I've seen, obviously we've got Zoom meetings every week. I think it's important for people to show up for those. But actually just building relationships with people at these events. some of these people are quite literally like, my family. My kids don't necessarily have a normal family to grow up with. So it's like, hey, Auntie Crystal's coming over for a month, or, things like that. Like that's we're going to go on a trip with her to Mexico next week. And so, getting around people who have been through similar things, getting around people who this business is so not rocket science. Like it literally might take you hearing one thing from one person in a sales presentation, and that ultimately changes your bank account by thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. Things like that. And so if you're around people and you're just picking up nuggets, that's only going to help you. Like what do you actually have to lose by learning from people who are successful in this business? It's different if you want to stay at home and again, I am extremely antisocial. I know some people are shocked when I say that. Like I have flippers on and like
you and me both.
I am super comfortable in my home with my kids and our animals. But no, I think it's important to educate yourself on multiple things that you need to be successful, in this business. And you get that from people. It's a yellow brick road. Like we're literally just following the road that other people before us paved. I didn't make any of this stuff up on my own. I mean, my sales presentation, yeah, I taught myself most of my sales stuff. But again, that's repetition, but still it was like reading books regularly, finding out how to structure a business properly, what can you hire out properly, the order and psychology of different things here, like how to mentor people who have been through different things in life. And like the ability to learn and just go to an event is priceless. Those are things that you can take with you and, be able to establish good relationships moving forward to grow into whatever the limit is for you. There should be no limit, but just grow from there.
Xander, you got anything left, man? We've
if
covered a lot of ground.
Hear this, if anyone hears this and they're like, I gotta work with this lady. She's a killer and I love her story. How do they get in touch with you?
I do have, the one website, trainingbyashley.com. I've got the richardagency.com. A phone number that you can text. It's not my personal phone number, but you can reach me on this one. Is 480-485-2327. Anything like that. So yeah, looking forward to hearing from anyone and anyone. And thank you guys for just letting me be on here. Elijah, you're going to be in Portugal this year. So see you again. Xander, you got to get on these trips, man.
I know. I was in Costa Rica, but I really want to go on that legal and general one too, with the private jet to Hawaii. That sounds like a good time to me. Yeah,
they're practically not complain about that.
That's the easiest one to qualify for too. They're practically giving that one away. 50 grand.
Yeah, it's nothing.
Well, I think we've covered a lot. What types of people are you not looking to work with, Ashley? Well, what kind of characteristics? Who shouldn't reach out to you?
That is a good question. No, I am allergic to mediocre, complacent people.
There you go. I love that.
Completely allergic. So, yeah, I mean, time's ticking. Stop wasting time. Stop being complacent. Complacency is just as contagious as somebody who's extremely motivated and going somewhere and driven and all that stuff. So. Anyone who has got a mediocre mindset, if you don't want to change that, I'm probably not the person for you to talk to.
There you go. If you guys didn't know this, like we've already as a country, we've reached our quota of mediocre people, so we don't need any more of that. We're looking for exceptional people who want to accomplish something big. And so if anything that Ashley said resonated with you, follow her on Instagram, follow her on Facebook. She's got a book coming out about sales. And so hit us up in the comments. What objections are you getting? Who knows? They might end up in the book with an answer. And so appreciate you guys tuning in. We'll see you next week. Ashley, thank you so much for being a guest.
Thank you.
Been awesome.